Welcome to Kathryn Raaker's World. Innovation, culture, adventure, fashion and health, artists, destinations, traditions. This is Kathryn Raaker's World.
Hi, this is Kathryn Raaker of Kathryn Raaker's World, our syndicated TV show, and Let's Just Talk, our syndicated radio show. Our guest today is very distinguished, really a brilliant guy, and his name is James Amorosi. He is the founder and CEO of managing partner of the Legacy Fund with 35 years experience in private equity and hedge funds industry. AMO, which is for short, has been the CEO of AMO Investment, a private equity and venture capital firm since 2001. James started his career on Wall Street, working on the floor of the New York Mercantile Exchange in the crude oil, heating oil, and natural gas pits. His career has landed him as the largest privately held broker-dealer in commodities, currencies, and debt instruments. As a foreign exchange trader and primary maker in the vanilla interbank and broker market G7 currency pairs. He has worked at some of the largest and most prestigious hedge funds, Tudor Investments in the Rand Management, as a managing director, senior trader, and quantitative systems developer. In 2001, Amorosi transitioned into private equity and venture capital business, something he'd always been extremely passionate about and wanted to do for years. And he's going to tell us everything about him now. Welcome to our show, James. How are you today?
Thank you so much. Doing great. Honored to be here. Thank you. Absolute pleasure.
Well, you've done a lot of things in your life. Where did you, we kind of gave your background a little bit, but you've also raised billions of dollars and created many philanthropic organizations. And can you tell us a little bit about your past and why you're so passionate about what you do today?
So, growing up as a kid in Newark, New Jersey, which is very similar to like a Brooklyn.
Right.
It was a humble beginning, but it really, my parents instilled in me really old school traditional values, and they've always stayed with me. And Newark was a going through a very contentious time in the 60s. And so it was an interesting time to grow up as a kid. And what I learned was a huge amount of vast amount of lessons. Being kind of like a street sense, which stayed with me. And it elevated me to become more. My father always pushed upon me education. And as a young guy, all I wanted to do, I was a martial artist from a very young age. All I wanted to do was fight. So he decided that it was time to move me out of Newark, so I didn't go down the wrong path. And for that, I am forever indebted to him. So we moved to a beautiful suburban town called Livingston, which was extremely different than where I grew up. And it was probably the best thing he ever did. Really, that town has a culture of education. So from there, I always had a passion for my martial arts, to be a professional fighter. So I did get into college with a scholarship to play football. And I decided that I wanted to be a fighter. So I decided to flunk out of school and go to Japan so I could fight. And that, of course, did not sit well with my father, right? But I went there and did my thing. And in the process, I really learned a lot about life. And I was a young man, late teens, early 20s. And at that point, I had a really good friend, my friend Steve. He and I were buddies from, childhood. And we decided we're going to work on Wall Street. So, long story short, we started trading some options, and that was interesting because we had a tremendous amount of success, which was pure luck, and then we lost it all. And this is a very typical story for hedge fund guys or traders. But long story short, from there, when I got back in Japan, I got a job on the floor of the exchange, and everything changed for me. And I went back to school. I went to Rutgers, and I studied what I really didn't like, economics. So when I took my courses at Montclair when I first went there, I didn't necessarily enjoy economics. But when I came back and I went to Rutgers, I became an economist. I really studied deep. I had a great instructor, professor, Carlos Siegli, who learned under the great Milton Friedman. So it was a very interesting experience. So from there, I took that knowledge and I applied it to Wall Street. And I was very fortunate. I was able to work at some very, very prestigious firms. I had a blessed career. I learned from some of the best, some of the most dynamic minds in the industry. But I always had a passion to buy and sell companies. And trading is different. It's investing, but it's different. So what I did was I transitioned into private equity in the around 2001, and I was backed by one of the principals of the hedge fund that I had worked for, and we were off and running. I loved it, and I was always an entrepreneur. I had martial arts schools, I had dojos, and it was always my base route in life. My whole life was predicated on martial arts philosophies, and I was a big proponent of the Far East. Very passionate about that at a young age, which is kind of funny. Growing up, as an Italian guy in Newark, as an Italian kid in Newark, my walls were plastered with, Bruce Lee, Sonny Chiba, all these Asian actors, and my father used to laugh. I used to wear Chinese clothes, out in the street. He used to laugh. He used to say, you're a little different, and run with that. So I guess it stayed with me. And I just when I went into private equity, I really had a very unique mindset of philosophy, investment philosophy that if I was going to invest in companies, we weren't just investors, we were partners. And we were going to go and help them manage or scale up or whatever we had to do, we were going to be part of it. And to this day, we're same philosophy, with the legacy fund. I have a wonderful team. My partners are incredible, talented professionals who have achieved a tremendous level of success in their fields. Dominique Wilkins, he's an NBA Hall of Fame legend. His reputation speaks for himself. Probably one of the top players to ever grace, the floor. Kevin Harrington, he's the original shark from the Shark Tank, and he is a serial entrepreneur even now, and he says he's semi-retired. He works more diligently than most 30-year-olds that I know who are serial entrepreneurs. And Darren Prince, who's a mega agent for celebrities and athletes. They're a very interesting group of people who have a tremendous depth of skills and personalities and passions, and each one of them is passionate towards philanthropic giving. And that takes us back to your question about that. Through my martial arts schools, I have many philanthropic organizations, and we have a SNAP program, our special needs adaptive program. I've been passionate about autism since probably 1993, 94. And we develop programs. And we go out and teach in facilities that cater to people who are challenged with these issues. And that has stemmed into sort of CP and other neurological issues. So we're passionate about that. We have another program for soldiers who return, who have a hard time transitioning and have had injuries and have PTSD. We have a program for them that I'm extremely passionate about that. I feel like there's nobody more honorable than someone who's willing to pay the ultimate price to keep our way of life, in the way it is. So, these are passions I have. Dominique is also very passionate about autism. And in addition to that, through our fund, we've created in the process right now of creating the Dominique Wilkins Financial Literacy Centers, which are going to help inner city kids and who are less fortunate and don't have the same opportunities as everybody else. We're going to create a program for them to flourish professionally and try to train the next generation of young entrepreneurs. And so I'm really excited about that. And Kevin is going to put together a course for that. We're very passionate about that. And another component to our fund is, we're looking to help athletes. A lot of athletes, as my partner Darren Prince says, they die two lives. They die the first life when they stop, when they end their career as a professional athlete. To go from that arena, that level of excellence, and just stop. It's very difficult for athletes. I was a professional fighter in the martial arts, and I stopped at a young age. I stopped really on a professional level about 21, 22 years old. And stopping at that age was a good thing for me because I transitioned right into becoming a professional and an entrepreneur. And part of our fund, in attracting athletes, we want to really educate them and give them positions within the companies that we invest in. And especially in the off season when they can represent the companies on different levels and really get a feel for what it is to be an executive, an entrepreneur, an investor. So that when they retire, they transition right into their next career. They don't get that lull, that downturn in their which it's really not even the profession, it's your mindset, it's the emotion of that. So that is a big piece of our fund. Really want to help athletes transition, and become great entrepreneurs, investors.
Well, we've come to the end of this program, and I want to thank you for joining us today on Kathryn Raaker's World and Let's Just Talk. So can you give your website where people can find out more about what you're doing and maybe learn about what actually is a hedge fund? And maybe on our next show, we can talk about that.
Absolutely, I'd love to. And we're a private equity fund, so they'll learn about that. But ours is thefundlegacy.com. Thefundlegacy.
Thefundlegacy.com. And I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I've learned a lot. And I think our listeners and our viewers will get a real education for what you're doing and your mission that you're doing for young people as well is others. And that's so important. And I want to thank you so much. Don't forget to go to our website at KathrynRaakersWorld.com. Let's Just Talk.com, thechefyouandI.com. We have so many, but you can always find everything on KathrynRaakersWorld.com. And thank you so much for joining me today on our show.